yeah, you could absolutely be sexist towards men, and yes, you could absolutely be racist towards white people. And anybody who disagrees with me, I very much ask you to challenge me.
I'm confused. Can I get an example?
Hold on.
As a victim of physical racial violence, I ask you to challenge
somebody
me.
blew you up for being white?
I used to get beat up every single day for no reason. Because I was I was white.
Cap.
Okay.
That literally makes no sense.
Okay, you cannot tell somebody else's.
Wait, hold on a second. Question.
You cannot call somebody else's personal experience cap. That's just rude.
Yeah.
Hold on. Question. Arson. I got a scenario for you. Arson. Are you half white, half Asian? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say a group of Asian people found a white dude, and they just started beating the fuck out of him, and they started calling him the C word while they were doing it.
Wait.
Would that maybe be racially motivated?
I mean, maybe, but like historically, they probably deserve it. Like, I don't know.
Are you joking? If you're gonna say that, I mean no harm when I say this. But if you're going to say that about white people, you have to go ahead and flip that coin and be able to say it about the other races as well.
What did they do?
Okay.
Kayla, are you Thai?
Yeah,
Where you
she's
from?
gonna have to run when we go outside.
So do you think a 12-year-old deserves to be beat up because they're white? Because of racial...
If it's a child, heck no.
Christ.
But you think anyone
or even an adult, like
beat up because they're white?
Ancestry.
I think no one deserves to be beat up, period. But I don't get really mad if I were to see that. You know, if I saw the other one, like that would incite like madness.
And that's the problem.
Wild take. That's an absolutely
That's the exact reason I didn't
She's
get
got
help.
some hot takes tonight. Holy shit.
Like, honey, you're the problem.
Arson.
Get some help. What about it?
When we get outside, list.
Stop with the side conversations. How have you arrived at that conclusion?
That's a good question. I don't know, just hearing like all the stories about like all this messed up stuff they did in the past. Like, I'm not even black, but I have a grudge against them.
Well, wait, but you're part white. You're part white.
Can I just take? Can we go down this path? Mm-hmm. What stories are you referring to in particular?
I don't know, just learning stuff in history, like.
Are you referring to
Hold on a
slavery?
second. Can we just?
Exactly.
Are you referring to slavery?
Yeah, and just like the treatment of them over time since then, like all the discrimination.
Do you think that white people were the only ones who engaged in slavery?
Probably not. That's probably around the world too.
Do you think that maybe the fact that you don't know that everybody engaged in slavery is part of the reason why you think the way that you do about this?
I don't know. I don't think it has to do with my worldviews. I think it has to do with the insecurity in myself. I don't like the white part of me, so I kind of project that onto others, probably.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. Well, that's a pretty self-aware thing to say. But like, just in terms of your like knowledge, how do you think that like the transatlantic slave trade? How do you think they went about getting slaves? Like, what do you think the process was?
Didn't they go up like that's part of America, right? They like went into Africa and stole them from our homes.
Yeah. So you think that they just went to Africa and then like rounded them all up and like caught them, put them in sacks, and then put them on the boat? That's pretty much the gist of what I got out of. So the reality of it is, and like it's not your fault for not knowing this, our education system is so flawed, that the Africans who were sold in the slave trade were sold by other Africans. So there were slave markets in Africa where they would capture their own people, then sell them off overseas. And there was also the Barbary slave trade as well, which was like Arabic Barbary pirates who would capture white Europeans and enslave them too. And there was like over 1 million white Europeans that were enslaved during the Barbary slave trade. And the Arabics were particularly brutal because they used to castrate the men, and then if they were ever to be caught by like another ship, they would chuck them all overboard, slit their throats and chuck them overboard. So slavery happened around the world everywhere.
So wait, are you trying to like say that like white people were slaves too?
Yeah, white people were also slaves.
That's where the term slave comes from, is the Slavic region.
Exactly.
That's why Eastern Europeans are so oppressed even within Europe.
I don't know, but I didn't see them oppressed over here that much. Like, I don't know. In history, I don't see books talking about the oppression of white people.
Yeah, that's
Why do you think that
a problem.
is? Why do you think that is?
Because schools push it.
Why do they leave out white people being a victim of slavery in history?
I feel like we only learn like U.S. history mostly, like That's what I learned.
There was also
more.
racism against white people throughout the country as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Italians faced persecution. Every iteration of a new
The Irish.
immigrant faced, Irish
The
and then the Scottish.
Holocaust?
You know how people make fun of the South? You know how people make fun of that accent or whatever? That's a Scottish accent. It comes from the they settled in the Appalachian regions. The hillbilly terms comes from the Billy Boys of
You read your Thomas
Scotland.
Sowell, hey?
I haven't, no.
No? Okay.
So I'm like, there has been racism. Basically, it's tribalism. Basically, like everyone basically says, "This is my tribe. I'm against that one. This is my tribe. I'm against that one." The most evident and also the most culturally obvious one is between white and black people. But it's like, what is your definition of whiteness, which is always contested, and also when it comes to blackness, what constitutes blackness, which is another contested question.
Right, because white comes from a long line of like the Irish and all that.
And like she said before, the word slave comes from the Slavic people.
Yeah.
So
I'd also like to
wide.
clarify a question with you.
Go ahead.
So you basically said that you think that there is sexism against men, correct?
Yes.
What would you define as an example of sexism against men?
Like when a man is like, "Oh, go make me a sandwich."
Yes.
And I'm like, "All right, you know what? Go dig that hole outside."
Yes.
Like I feel like that's very much sexist. Like,
I would reverse
equality.
that. I would say
You think so?
I would say sexism
holding
against
us
men.
down.
I would say sexism against men is truly defined by denigrating healthy masculinity and expecting them not to do those sort of things. I think if you expect a man to be in his feminine, to be like, "Oh, be more emotionally expressive," they naturally don't go in that direction. Women are more like psychologically internal, so we need that venting that sometimes men have to kind of basically maneuver.
Men are
But I
more
think
physical.
that's truly the definition of sexism, is to denigrate the patriarchy, denigrate masculinity. And to be sexist is to basically say, submit yourself to me, let me take care of you, let me coddle you. At that point, you're basically
I mean,
neutering.
honestly,
make sense to me.
even in this generation, I feel like it's becoming more of that, where these men are expecting, or they're like lacking.
The sassy man epidemic.
Yeah, they're like lacking something to where like, oh, they're now the females of this generation. The women were raised by independent females, and they're like the men.